Okay, so today we're going to cover the distributive property, and we can use this distributive property with respect to addition and with respect to subtraction. So here is the basic property with letters, and again, the number that you're distributing can either be in front of the parentheses or it could also be behind it. But just know that when you're distributing it, you're going to make it multiply to the B and to the C, so to both things in the parentheses. And you can also go backwards and put the number behind it. Generally, you're going to see the number in front. All right, so now, just like I showed you just now with the 15, we can also apply distributive property to when we have numbers. So that way we can make mental math a little bit easier. Now, I'm not going to expect you to show me how to do this, but if you want to do it so you can do it mentally, that's fine. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to break apart the 83, and I'm going to make it 8 plus 3, or 80 plus 3, because 80 plus 3 is 83. And then now I'm going to apply my distributive property. So I'm going to do 80 times 5, plus 5 times 3. And then I'll get 8 times 5 is 40, and then put the other 0. And then 5 times 3 is 15, which will give me a grand total of 415. Same thing with this decimal on part B. I could break apart the 9.5 into 9 plus 0.5. So then here I'll do 6 times 9 plus 6 times 0.9. 6 times 9 will give me 54, and 6 times a half, or half of 6, is 3, giving me 57. Now you can multiply it out this way and get your answer. But by using the distributive property, we could do this mentally. Now, same thing when it's a mixed number. I'm going to have 2, and I can break this into plus 1/4. So then I could do 2 times the 8 plus 8 times the 1/4. Because I can find 1/4 of 8, just divide it by 2, or by 4 and get 2. And then 8 times 2 is 16, giving me 18. Otherwise, you would need to make this improper. So 4 times 2 plus 1 and make it 9 over 4 times 8 over 1. Simplify, and you can also do it that way. So this is just applying distributive property, and just shows you how you could make some math problems a little bit easier so you could do them mentally. All right, let's look up here at example 2. Now we're going to actually throw in the variables. And this is where you're going to see most of your distributive property applied, where one of the terms in the parenthesis is going to be a variable. So in this particular problem, we're going to turn A into 5 times x plus 5 times 2. Now, when you're multiplying it with a number, you should simplify that. So this final answer, you could drop the parentheses. I know in the book, I think they're using a dot. So either way, you could put it in parentheses, or you could use it as a dot for multiplication. Then on part B, again, now the number that we're distributing is behind the parentheses. However, the process is the same. You're going to do 4 times the 6y plus 7 times the 4. So here you would get 24y plus 28. So you would multiply the 6 and the 4 and then put the y behind it. Now, you can also use the distributive property with respect to subtraction. And what this means is in your parentheses, you're going to have a subtraction sign. But the process is going to still be the same. You're going to take the number outside of the parentheses, multiply it to the 8, and then the same thing, multiply it to the other number. But then once you get those two products, you're going to subtract the answers. So this would be distributive property with respect to subtraction. And again, you can either it could either be with the number on front of the parentheses, or it could be behind. You're still going to distribute it into the parentheses. Now, I'm not going to be giving you any blocks or, any kind of these diagrams to simplify these things. All right, the next one, this time we're sort of working backwards of distributive property. Notice in this problem what they both have in common. They both have the number 17. So if they ask you to reverse this and now put 75 plus 25 in the parentheses and then the 17 outside, what you would do here is add the 75 and the 25 and get 100, and then multiply to the 17 and get 1,700. And then again on example 4, we can see here that we could pull out an x. So we could show that x is going to get distributed to both the 5 and the 9. So this is just showing you how you could break it apart. Generally, the questions are going to be given to you like this, and you'll turn them into that. All right, so here, again, notice that when we did the problem before, the 9x plus 5x and 14, those are equivalent expressions. So when you simplify something and show what it equals, these are two equivalent expressions. So on example 5, they want us to simplify that and give an equivalent expression. So for part A here, I have 8y minus 6y. So when they ask you to simplify the expression, the answer we get is going to be an equivalent expression. So what do we get when we do 8y minus 6y? 2y. All we're doing is subtracting the coefficients. Okay, for part B, what we're going to do is work left to right. So I'm going to do 3 plus 7 and get 10, and then subtract the 4 and get 6n. On part C, before I can start grouping my like terms, I need to distribute. So 8 to the n gives me 8n, and then the subtraction sign, or you can think of it as 8 times negative 1, and then I'll drop down the plus 3n, and now I can begin to combine my like terms. Notice I have an 8n here and a positive 3n. When I group those together, I get 11n minus 8. Good? Let's try some of the oral exercises. Okay, so for the oral exercises, they want us to do distributive property. So the first thing I do is 2 times 30, which will give me 60, and then 2 times 5, which gives me 10, and then when I add them, I get 70. Same thing on number 2. 7 times 4 tells me it's 28, and then I put the 0, and then 7 times 1 is 7, giving me 287. Now we're going to work this way. We could break it apart, or if you're faster just doing 99 times 3, we can do that. But let's go ahead and see if we can apply our distributive property. I'm going to break the 99. I could do it 2 ways. I could do it 100. The faster way would probably be to do it represented as 100 minus 1 times 3. And then 3 times 100 is 300. 3 times 1 is 3, and then 297. You could also break it apart into 90 plus 9, but doing it as 100 minus 1 was a little bit faster. And then this is similar to the example we did at the beginning. The only difference is now instead of 2 1/4, they have 3 1/4. So again, I can break it apart, and I could do 8 times 3 plus 8 times 1/4. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 1/4 is 2, giving me a grand total of 26. Let's try just distributing. Let me jump down here. I'm going to distribute the 5 to the A and the 5 to the 2. Gives me 5A plus 10. I cannot group that 5 and 10 because the 10 doesn't have the letter A. And if I did number 13, where it's a subtraction sign, 5 times 2t gives me 10t minus 15. Again, I cannot group them together. The 15 does not have the letter T. When the instructions say to simplify, all we're going to do is group our like terms here. So notice I have they both have the letter X, so I can just add 16 and 6 and get 22x. Anybody know what we would get on number 20? 4b, good. We assume that there's a 1 in front of that b. And then 23 we would subtract. We're actually going to get a negative number here. So 11 minus 15 gives me negative 4k. Perfect. The homework, I guess. So your homework tonight is going to be 2 through 66 even. And what we're going to do right now is I'm going to give you back your test from Thursday. We're going to go over it, and then if you have any questions about it, you can ask me. And then if there's any remaining time, you can go ahead and start this 2 through 66 even.